Welcome, everybody, to the Monday Motivation Spotlight. After an emotional week last week and also the tragic events yesterday, I'm Lesley Kaplan, welcoming you here every week, giving you inspiration and motivation, which we all right now could need, together with our co-host, ACI. As you know, this program was started, it's already 1 year now. We started 2 weeks after the October 7th war. In order, for those of you that are new, those of you that are here, you've heard me say this before, in order to give us inspiration and motivation, as well as to give exposure to amazing individuals, business owners, or organizations that are making a difference. Our guests, our spotlights every week are all local. We only have guests that live in Israel because this is a program based on Israel Talk and Inspiration, even though we have many viewers already from abroad. So what do we have today for you? Or who do we have, should I say, for you today? I'm going to actually spotlight her now. Let's just pick her up on the screen. Somebody who I have met about a year, no, actually 2 years ago. 2 years. I've met Seagal 2 years ago, approximately, from Netanya. She's a neighbor, she's a friend. And everybody in the area knows Seagal. Why? Because she's this ball of energy, bubbly, go-getter, always doing something good for other people. So who is Seagal? Let me tell you a little bit about her, and then she'll tell you in more detail about what she does. Firstly, Seagal made aliyah, ironically, on October 7th, 2020. And we all know what happened 3 years later on October 7th, 2023. And even though she was a relatively new Ola Chadasha, she decided that once the war broke out, she wasn't going to just sit back and let things happen. She was going to make a difference. And what she did was she single-handedly spearheaded a grassroots fundraising initiative to get equipment for soldiers, going around volunteering, donating, everything else for soldiers on the bases. And she'll tell us all about it. And it's just unbelievable what one person can do. So Seagal, welcome to our show. We've been trying to get a date for a while now, so I'm so glad that we were able to do it. Kol hakavod on the amazing stuff you do, which everyone's going to hear about right now. Share with us who Seagal is behind the scene, your aliyah story. What made you decide to make aliyah? Was it a dream that you always had, or was it kind of last minute? And about your amazing initiative, what you do, how you do it, and also how we can contribute, whether it's volunteering or donating. Take it away.
Fantastic. Thank you for welcoming me on this morning. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to be here sitting and doing this. So I made Aliyah October 7th, 2020. And, since I could remember, it has really always been a dream of mine. It's been in, with every single trip that I've made to Israel, I can recall getting to that point for check-in and the attendant saying, "Did anyone give you anything to put in your bag?" And then the tears are already coming and they're asking me, "Well, why are you crying?" And I would say, because I know I have to come home and the trip didn't even start yet. So I've always had this dream of this one-way ticket. And I guess, my husband really knew at the time that this is a dream. And it was in the vision that we would come and maybe take summers off and put the kids in a camp that would allow them to have the Hebrew immersion. And then we would return. And then 2019 came. And towards the end of the year, going into 2020, I had experienced a significant pregnancy loss, and then COVID hit, March 2020. And I looked and I said, we're never going to get there. This is, I knew we're not going to get there for the summer. And there was this thing on the front burner that if we don't go now, it'll never be a good time. And when will we get there? So the seed was planted, and for anyone who was in the States during COVID, or here, I imagine, everything shut down. The shul shut down. The feeling of community kind of was like a little bit dissolving at the fingertips. There was no shul on Shabbos. It just felt very isolating. And one thing I feel like I kind of do is just always stay ahead of the game. Like my kids never knew that there was this epidemic. The house became a one-room schoolhouse. And then around March, around March, April, we decided that, okay, we're going to get this paperwork done. We're going to apply for A1A visa and we're going to get to Israel and give up our rental and pretty much the contents of this house. And they weren't giving A1A visas. They were only doing at that time full on aliyah, and it happened fast. And so we started the process. We started the process of the paperwork, which is pretty intense, and getting all the documents and then the interview. And around that time, I found out I was expecting. And at this point, I had my 3 girls, and I probably qualified as a high-risk pregnancy. I was already older. I was 45 at the time. And I decided against everyone else that I was going to still pursue moving to Israel. And our paperwork was complete. We passed the interview process, and our flight was scheduled. We spent the night on October 6th in a hotel room in California, and got everybody and landed in Israel October 7th. And, you know, we landed in Netanya in Ir Yamim. And I guess, you know, I'm sure with every aliyah, there are bumps, bruising, and easy things along the journey. And it's an adjustment and quite shocking when you get here and navigating the system. And it was 3 years up until this past October 7th that, you know, I really was questioning for myself, like, why was my Zionism and my love for Israel strong enough to actually stay and make this a forever? And I had my own trials, and I looked at my kids who were so resilient and falling in complete love with being here. Everything that I wanted to feel in myself, I saw evident in them, in just getting up every morning and going to school and sitting in classrooms where they didn't know the language, making friends, and gaining this level of independence that isn't possible anywhere else in the world. And so there was so much beauty. And as a mom, still navigating the bumps. And then we decided, in honor of our 3-year aliyah anniversary, that we would host a big kiddush in our shul, Tfilat Yamim. And got up that morning, and I guess because the shul is cool and kind of undercover, it was after the fact, I heard that it was one of the only shuls that was not shut down that day. So we had a full-on celebratory kiddush, and I don't remember if it was that Shabbos that I addressed the community, but I really fell in love with that shul. It became my home, and I really felt at peace. You know, I really never felt, we moved a lot living in the States, and I really knew that I wanted to be here. And I knew that the coming to Israel would give me the sense of security, the sense of community that deep down inside I've always wanted. So.
Wow, okay. And yes, definitely that community did and does. So now tell us what did you feel when October, maybe that's a crazy question because we all felt totally overwhelmed and shocked and saddened by what happened on October 7th, 2023. So tell us how you started getting into your initiatives of doing for the soldiers. You were pretty new here yourself. You were still getting settled yourself. How did it all evolve, and what were you doing before then?
So I have some, there's been moments, just living in America where opportunities came my way. There was the hurricane in Puerto Rico. There were opportunities to give, and I've always kind of felt the importance of, if I don't do anything else as a parent, it's tikkun olam. It's what are we doing? How are we what are we doing with our day? What is our contribution, and how are we making this world a better place? And so, hurricane went through Puerto Rico, and my driveway is lined with generators. And then it would go on. We would go on with life. So good friends of mine would say now, like, I'm not surprised that this is something that you created for that you've taken on. I don't really know what triggered me to embark on this, but all I can say is that I really feel like, I told somebody this morning, I feel like I'm dating Hashem, like it sounds, but not the Hezbollah one. Like, I really feel like Hashem has been with me all through my life, with a very strong sense of spirituality and faith. And to come here pregnant at 45, and thank God deliver a baby at 46, 40, almost into 47. It's truly
a very cute baby too. He's adorable. And your first son after the girls.
Son after 3 girls. So, right. To always, we go through life and we see miracles. And in this journey since the 8th, like, it was almost like Hashem was like, you know what, Seagal, we're going to do this, and it's going to be miracles on a consistent basis. And when you fall on your face and you think that the world's over or crashing, I have my hand in it. And so October 8th came, and I hate needles, really hate needles. And I don't know the language well enough. And the last place you want to be is in a matnas with hundreds of people, Israelis, who are fighting to give blood. And it was like something supernatural came that I just needed to get to this point and fight my way through this line to the table to give blood. And so I got through that part. And then by a week later, I had taken to social media, to Facebook. I don't know how this soldier or this woman found me. And she said there are chayalim on a base, and they need 40 pairs of boots. And I got on Facebook, and at this point, I was just debriefing the world about what was happening and my feelings on it. And I get this call, and I'm like, okay, like, send me a Venmo and let's buy these guys some boots. And that's where it all started, 40 pairs of boots. Take my kids, and I involve my kids in a lot of the deliveries. And what makes me a little different than other fundraising initiatives is that I get the money, I do all the purchasing, and I call it farm to table, and I do the deliveries on my own. And we go and we deliver the 40 pairs of boots, and I get a phone call that night that they offloaded 90 pairs. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. Don't get involved. We're going to get the boots back, and we're going to return them to the store. Don't worry about raising the money for the remaining pairs. And I sit down on my couch, and I'm like, there's no way that you are going to go to these chayalim that are fighting for me, for my freedom to be able to enjoy this country, to take these boots off their feet. It was less than 30 minutes during dinner time. I'm making pasta. I'm sitting on the floor. I have a purple notebook, which is now completely full of requests. And that's the first page, is raising money for the remaining pairs of these boots. And before the woman could call me and say, I told you to stay out of it, they were paid for. The invoice was paid for. Ayal and Ayal, the store owner, and me, we're still very much over a year later, we're very close. And from that point on, I was like, oh, I guess I can do this. I'm just a school teacher from New York City. You can hand me a curriculum and I could deliver a curriculum, it's scripted, you can't screw it up. I never in a million years could think that I could even do something like this to create something from nothing. And so it went on, primarily through Venmo and through donors from the US. And since that point, it's grown to providing vests, boots, protective plates, helmets, generators, solar panels, and everything and anything has made it into the car. And just last week, I had a pickup. And I took every ounce of me to allow the Chayalim to come to my house to pick them up, because part of the beauty for me is being involved in the drop off and the energy and the strength, the chizuk that you get from their reaction. And it's incredible. Yeah.
Wow, that is unbelievable. You know, there are so many fundraising initiatives and everything out there, but with you to single-handedly take this on, and also the fact that you want to deal with the deliveries and everything yourself, and meet the soldiers is what makes it even just more special. And at the same time, you're also providing an amazing role model to your children, which you were no doubt before, but they're seeing like, wow, and that every single one of us can make a difference. In other words, not leaving it to somebody else.
So it's really been this incredible journey. It grew away from the US only to donors from the UK, from Israel, and to be able to give everybody the opportunity to get involved, whether it be financially or number of people have gotten into the car with me to do the actual donations, to just take a ride with me. It's a true experience, and I welcome all of you to give me a call and come along for the ride. And can I say, so now I've moved away from Venmo, and I'm now affiliated with a 501c3, which takes US donations tax exemption. And I have an affiliation with an Amuta, which is an Israeli equivalent to a nonprofit, and they are called IDF Orphans. And I haven't even met Michal, who runs IDF Orphans, but graciously receives my donations and pays the invoices. And I really, just handle the pickup and the delivery. And right now, it's since Friday. I mean, it's a wave of requests. It comes and it goes in waves. There was a significant increase Thursday, Friday. And over the recent months, I've created this Adopt a Soldier, Adopt a Unit program. And I have a list of units that are requesting, and I get calls all day from individual Chayalim and lone soldiers that need a helmet. And, I either match them with a donor, or I have a residual bank that I can just go and make those wishes come true. And if anybody ever watches like Ellen DeGeneres, she had,
I love it. Yes.
She has this woman, Jenny, and Jenny knocks on doors and says, I'm making over your kitchen. And she does these surprises. So I feel like Jenny of the South. And just last week, I went down south on the 7th. I really didn't plan for the day. I knew the day, for all of us was going to carry this weight, and I just couldn't really pinpoint and plan for, what I was going to do. And I took my 2 oldest daughters down to the Nova site, and we did our normal, they're always with me in the car quite often. So we went down to the site and went to Shuva, which is a junction where they feed Chayalim. And I sat on the couch next to this Chayal. I had another friend and now donor with me. And this Chayal sat down. He was from Staten Island, New York. And long story short, 19, he went to the same high school that I graduated from a long, long time ago. And I hadn't cried that day. I pretty much am like a little bit at a numb point right now. And I didn't tell him what I was doing. And the average person won't look at me and think I do anything. Why are you here? And he said to me, I I lost my helmet, I fell off the Hummer on my way out of Gaza. Do you happen to know where I could get one? So, I will just say it's not occasionally, but Hashem always leaves the right things in my trunk.
Wow. So you said, yeah, sure, here we go. I have one right here for you.
I got really choked up. He got
Wow.
choked up, and I was like, what size are you? I was like, just come to my trunk. And right then and there, we walked to the car, and I gave him, and he was just like, he called me yesterday. He needs a flashlight for his gun. So I'm going to pick that up in a little bit. And, you know, it was an incredible moment. And, you know, the only downside for these guys in this transaction is they get stuck with me. So I've become like completely.
Well, it's not such a downside, like you're their best friend.
I feel like and that's what drove me like to do all this. It's like I don't have any children in the army right now. So I'm everyone's wife and everyone's mother. And if my children were in this situation, I would want somebody like me to say, here, and there's so much, and I feel like 99% of the time, like, yes, they need that object, but there's so much that comes from feeling, this level of love, this level of care. And there's a transparency with me that often other organizations don't have. Like, you give me $1, you're going to know that your dollar went to Sruli towards his helmet, and he's probably going to say your name in a thank you video. And while I now kind of don't like these fluffy videos, they are important. Hakaras Hatov is important. And I try to be respectful. I don't push too hard on them, because I know that there's a level of exhaustion right now that wasn't the same as the beginning, when we were all like rah rah and cheering everybody on. And there's a level of sensitivity and respect that I have to have. And it's been an honor, to really feel Yad Hashem, the hand of Hashem, in every part of this. I mean, I've had story after story where transactions where I've paid off the bulk, and the leftover, the rest that needed to be paid equaled $613. I've had insane stories. I had a woman that helped me way back in November to pick up a box of uniforms that I had delivered to my cousin in the States, whose flight got canceled. She actually went to New York, picked up the uniforms, repacked them in a suitcase, got it to someone else who got it on a flight to me, and they were delivered. And then the person that received them on the other end said, well, where'd you get them? I need to. And I said, you know what? As thank you, I'm going to take care of the other two. And I dropped them off at our house. Months later, I have a woman from Florida who I don't know, a friend of my friend's family, came in with about $2,000 worth of bathroom baggies for the men in the tanks. So I typically shop local. I'm big on shopping local. And was the first thing that I had brought in from the States. And of course, they were stopped in Meches. So now I'm in Meches. The woman left, and I'm now like losing it over all these bags, poo bags, and trying to get them. It took about an hour and a half. Long story short, the woman who brought them in is on the phone with the woman from the uniforms. And she's like, I brought this stuff in for this Seagal. And she's like, Seagal? I helped her with uniforms back in November. So those two are best friends. And the two uniforms that I gave as a thank you were for two chayalim in Meches. And after an hour and a half of me trying to get the bags out, they're like, Seagal, you're Seagal, you can go now. So,
Right. Wow, that's incredible. And also Seagal, how did you get to spell your name like Seagal, not Sigal? Like, I mean, I guess you obviously chose it, right?
My mother chose it.
Right, but your original name was an English name. So did you Hebraicize your name when you came here?
My father's Israeli, and my birth name is Sigalit. And up until from third grade on, I always went by Seagal. I never wanted to be Seagalit. I was a minority in America with this name. You know, there were no pencils with my name and magnets with my name on it. And then once I got it to Israel, I'm now like a little bit of a majority, and there's actually things with my name on it. So,
right. So just via your name, you felt like you fitted in, automatically fitted in.
yes.
Right, right. Okay, cool. So Seagal, moving forward, firstly, so how exactly can people get hold of you? Firstly, Seagal's all over social media. So if anyone just phones,
on Instagram, I'm much more on Facebook.
right, more on Facebook,
Younger ones
exactly.
are on Instagram. So
Right, exactly. On Facebook, you're all over the place, and we see how basically this whole mission of yours has, Baruch Hashem, in a positive way, you know, but alavai that we should have peace and the war should end, taken over your life from the very beginning, seeing you with the agricultural and the picking fruits, and also giving the helmets and all the equipment to the soldiers. So what is the best way for somebody to reach you if they'd like to join you in your mission, volunteering, or to donate?
okay, I just want to say something about the fruit picking. So for about over 22 weeks, I organized a bus through Leket. They have been incredibly generous to provide a weekly bus on Thursdays. We went to over 22 farms to pick and plant. So after the Chagim, hopefully we'll start that back up. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you on the bus down south or north. And God willing, things will be safe for us to go out and work in the fields. As far as getting involved in donating, and you are welcome to find me on Facebook, Seagal Hagege. I'm on Instagram as Seagalit Ba'aretz. I do have Venmo, and as far as the Amuta, maybe we can put out the links for the Amuta or the 501c3 in the States, and there's a tax exemption for both. And you can, you know, as part of the adopt a unit or adopt a soldier, you can choose where you want your money to go and be really a big part of that process. And come right.
Incredible, incredible. In my social media posts and in the YouTube and the Spotify, I will add the links. So for anyone that follows me or Seagal, I'm sure that the links are up on your pages too. Moving forward, just a mishpat sikum, final sentence. Where do you see this all happening? You know, now that you're into this whole thing, imagine the war ended tomorrow. So how do you see yourself as moving forward? Alavai, the war should end tomorrow, but on a positive note, yes?
Okay, great question. So I met these two incredible women from New York who have linked up with me. They just did a wonderful benefit there towards these initiatives. And together we are starting a 501c3 called Kadima B'Yachad, and God willing, my own Amuta here. And we're going to keep going. And where are we going? It's about legacy. It's about rebuilding. My latest initiative is to equip the Chayalim down south who are protecting the 3 schools that reopened September 1st. Last week, they picked up 24 optic sights for their guns to better protect and keep the school safe. They are right on the border. I will be there tomorrow. They got them yesterday, and then I'll see them in action tomorrow. And they have a list of needs for me. And the reason I took them on as my project is because the kids need to be safe. The kids got home, their families went home. I'd like to keep them there, and they are the legacy of the South. They are the ones that will remain and rebuild.
Oh, incredible, incredible, totally inspiring, which is why I definitely wanted to have you on this program. Seagal, thank you so much for sharing what you did. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And as I said earlier, every single one of us can totally make a difference, not to sit back and say somebody else is going to take care of it. Because in this case, yes, there were organizations and people taking care of these, but it doesn't mean that what you did wasn't needed too. You know, we have a lot of need out there. And the fact that you've made it so personal and one-on-one that people can also get to know you, that's also a very, very big difference, certainly from the donor's point of view, that they can know exactly where their donation is going to. And also from the soldier's point of view, that they're actually getting to see the people behind the donation of the items and the equipment.
And I really, really welcome, I go down south probably 1 to 2 times a week. I welcome anybody in my car. It's not a bus of 50 people. It's a very intimate journey down south, one that will leave you proud to be a Jew, proud to live in Israel, and please come along. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Great. So thank you again, ladies and gents. We've come to the end of another Monday Motivation Spotlight. I'm Lesley Kaplan. Thanks again to our co-host ACI. Firstly, wishing everybody a Shana Tova, a Gamar Chatima Tova, Od Ma'at Chag Sameach. We're about to enter Chag Sukkot. Next week is Chol HaMoed Sukkot, so we will not be meeting during Chol HaMoed. We usually meet every single Monday, so see you the following week. Wishing you a Shana Tova, wishing Am Yisrael Besorot Tovot, only good things. We are strong, we are resistant, we are resilient, should I say. And yes, using the word resistance, we should be able to resist everything that comes our way. And Bezrat Hashem, as I say, Am Yisrael Chai, and we will only have Besorot Tovot. Chag Sameach, Shana Tova.
Comments.
Right, and thank you again. Thank you so much again, Seagal, and you're welcome to check out if you want to rewatch us on the recording, Spotify, YouTube, as well as other inspiring speakers that we've had for the year. Thanks again. Bye-bye. I'm Yisrael Chai.